Raider Nation, make sure you go subscribe to Raiders defensive tackle Johnathan Hankins' YouTube channel. It's a great way to tell him thanks. You can see the link down there below, youtube.com/BigTimeHank. It's going to be available for y'all in the comments and in the description of today's video. Let's get Big Time Hank to 1,500 subs. You're watching the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and coming up here on today's show, I am going to be doing an interview with Raiders defensive tackle Johnathan Hankins. I asked him 5 questions. 2 is going to make you giggle. 3 are a little bit more serious. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report here at Barcode Burgers in Las Vegas. Mitchell Renz here with Raiders defensive tackle Johnathan Hankins. I got 5 questions for him. Raider Nation, as always, let me know in the comments what you think about the questions. My first question, little Hank. Will you be playing in the preseason? And if no, when do you expect to be on the field?
Well, right now I won't be cleared until I think the second week of August. So I think I'll probably be doing more action in practice, maybe not so much preseason, but I got to talk to the staff and see what the directions are with me. So, oh no, that one's up in the air.
All right, man. Fair enough. Right. How about this? When I talk about defenses, the Raiders defense has struggled over the past few seasons. Give me a player on the defense right now that you believe is going to turn into a household name by the end of the season.
I have to probably say my guy Kendal Vickers.
Okay.
He's here, at the event today, but he's been doing an amazing job, just being consistent. He's been with us for 3 years now. Finally got the opportunity to, to try to become a starter, and I think there's going to be a lot of big things popping off for him.
So the Raiders this offseason had some draft picks. They went ahead, they took Farrell Jr., took Matthew Butler, 2 defensive tackles.
Yeah.
If those 2 were to match up in a sumo wrestling match, who wins?
I got to give it to Neil.
Neil, why?
Once you see him, you'll know why. I think he's a little bit bigger than Butler, but he's definitely meant to be a sumo guy.
Okay. So I know it's a team sport. The ultimate goal is always a Super Bowl. It's just win, baby. You're 30 years old now.
Yeah.
What's a personal goal for you at this point in your career?
Just continue to play at a high level, and obviously everybody's goal is to win the Super Bowl. That's the only reason why we're doing this sport.
Sure.
So right now, that's probably one of the second biggest goals that I have. I've been playing for almost going on 10 years now, so I need to get that before I walk away from the game.
All right, I got 2 more questions for Johnathan Hankins. If anybody is watching right now, remember, go down in the comments and let me know what you're thinking. So, we had this debate the other day at the Chat Sports Studios, and I'm curious what you're thinking. Would you rather fight a bear or 100 house cats?
100 house cats.
100 house cats? You think you'd take them down? Full claws and all? Easy. All right, well, I don't know if that one's ultimately going to happen, but we will see. My last and final question. Before today, have you ever heard of the Raiders Report? That's a no. It's a no. It's a no.
I didn't heard of all types of reports, Raider Nation report. So it's a long list of them. But today, I finally met you in the flesh and get ready to go down.
I do actually have one more question for you. My boss told you we were DMing Michigan guy. All about the team up north.
Yeah.
If he were to be standing, let's say like right here, Ohio State guy, what would you say to a Michigan dude right now? I mean, they beat him last year.
Yeah, that
fluke.
Very much a fluke.
Okay.
It's tough because I'm a Michigan boy myself. I respect them.
Who's gonna win this year?
Ohio State, easy.
Easy.
What?
Okay.
The guy that was talking all that trash at the Heisman thing, what's his name? What's the kid name?
I don't even remember at this
point.
point.
Look here. Mark my words. He's going to pay for that big time. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Who, Hutchinson?
Yes.
Oh, I saw you quote tweet it. Michigan now, defensive line
Yeah,
you didn't like that one too much.
Come on now. We know what the truth is.
So I grew up in Pennsylvania, Penn State linebacker I'd like to see Penn State get back at it. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, man, they've been doing pretty good now. They've been holding their own. That head coach they got is phenomenal. So Big Ten is nice. I think we have surpassed the SEC, in my opinion.
Well, hey, you heard it from there. That's Big Time Hank 95. Please go ahead, give him a follow on Instagram, Twitter. He's all over the place doing a lot of crazy stuff, and hopefully this is not going to be your last appearance on the Raiders Report. Maybe when you retire, we'll do a few beer boots and shots of Fireball.
Hey, we can make it happen.
All right,
This won't be the last time, I guarantee it.
appreciate the interview from Johnathan Hankins and to make sure that you show him that you appreciate it. And if you want to see more interviews, then like the video right now. I know we make a lot of news. We do a lot of rumors. I would love to be able to add more player interviews to this YouTube channel. So if it's something that you want to see in the future, then like the video. One of the things that Hankins said in the interview was his ultimate goal, which should be every player's ultimate goal, is to not only get better every year, but to win a Super Bowl. So what you're going to be seeing here on today's show is I'm going to talk about what the Raiders defensive tackles need to do in order for the Raiders to go out and get the Lombardi Trophy. Because you can talk about defense all you want. Unfortunately, right now, the defensive tackle room is one of the weakest on that Raiders defense. So if you want even more player interviews, because guess what? I got more up and coming. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications, because this week alone, this one is the Hankins interview show. Then we're going to be doing an interview with Andre James, the Raiders center, Colt Miller, the Raiders left tackle, and Kendal Vickers. I've still yet to decide on the order that I will release them. But if you want more interview videos, then hit that subscribe button. Let's first take a look at the Raiders defensive tackle depth chart. You got Hankins, Bilal Nichols. These are your top two tackles as it stands right now. The Raiders went out and you drafted Farrell Jr. You drafted Matthew Butler of this past draft. And then you got some extra depth pieces like Vernon Butler, Andrew Billings, Kendal Vickers, Peko, and then the UDFA from Notre Dame, Tagovailoa-Amosa. So what is one of the biggest things that the defensive tackles need to do? First, Hankins, my dog, you need to get healthy. And this stands for any NFL team out there. If you want to make a push near the end of the year, not only do you have to be playing solid football, you also need to be healthy. So he had surgery, which I was told it was a cleanup on May 17th. He doesn't expect to play in the preseason, which you heard him say. And when I was talking to Hankins after the event, he straight up told me, with all the cleanups that I've had, he battled through some injuries last season. He was like, man, I feel like I got a brand new body. And, well, if I was 6'2", 300 pounds and having a new body, it'd probably be a pretty good thing. Over the past 5 seasons, when you look at Hankins' numbers, 38 tackles last year, 2 quarterback hits, no sacks. I don't want you to just focus on the sack numbers, though, because the way that Hankins gets used in this Raiders defense is he's the run stopper. Not that I wouldn't mind if he got a sack or 2. I want him to be able to just take on the double teams, and then that way it frees up more opportunities for Max Crosby, frees up more opportunities for Chandler Jones. And sure, getting up there in age, some of the numbers are starting to decline, but you might never see the 7-sack guy that you saw back in 2014. But anytime you have an NFL player who's been in the league for 9 years, he's going to be the father of the team. There's going to be a lot of those younger guys, Farrell, Matthew Butler, looking up to Hankins, because if you've been able to play in 9 NFL seasons totaling 356 tackles, 36 tackles for loss, 46 quarterback hits, and 14.5 sacks, you're doing something right. So, Hank, get healthy, get back, and then get the guys rallying around you. How about the next thing that the defensive tackles need? If you're trying to chase a Lombardi here for the Raiders, you need somebody to step up, somebody that people are potentially sleeping on. And the player that Hankins mentioned was Kendal Vickers. And the question that I asked Hank was, name a Raiders player on defense that will be a household name. His answer, Kendal Vickers. Last season, Vickers made the 53-man roster. I didn't anticipate that he was going to. He's a big, strong, athletic player. He still needs to get his technique down a little bit more. I asked him how much he's weighing. He told me 285 pounds. For you to be a defensive tackle and weighing only 285, that does make me a little bit nervous. However, he does have some versatility where he could play defensive end and he could play defensive tackle. So we're talking about Vickers here. That's who Hankins brought up. When you talk about the DTs on the Raiders, I don't usually throw rookies into this mix, but I'll let you guys do it anyway. Which Raiders defensive tackle are people sleeping on right now? The next thing that would need to happen, the rookies need to step up. They need to play well. The first guy we'll talk about is Matthew Butler coming out of Tennessee. 47 tackles last season with the Volunteers, 8.5 tackles for loss, 5 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. When you look at this Raiders defensive tackle group, you have run stoppers, and then you have DTs that are a little bit better at getting after the quarterback. In terms of the two rookies, Butler might have lost in a sumo match to Farrell, but he is better at getting after the quarterback. In terms of who's going to get more snaps, I anticipate Farrell getting more snaps, and it's not because he's not, or not that because Butler's not any good. Farrell's the better player as it stands right now. 6'4", 330 pounds. Unfortunately for Hank, this is probably your Johnathan Hankins replacement in the future, who had 45 tackles last season for the Tigers. 9.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 2 PBUs. I was excited about him. The Raiders were excited about him. That's why they traded up for him at 126. Let's go to the next name here. If the Raiders want to make that Super Bowl run, Bilal Nichols doesn't need to just be good. He's got to be great. The Raiders signed him to a 2-year deal worth up to $11 million. Coming off a year where he had 51 tackles for the Chicago Bears, 9 quarterback hits, 3 sacks. He's going to be your defensive tackle that gets after the quarterback. If Hankins can eat up some of those double teams, offensive line coaches and offensive line in general, they're going to be worried about Crosby. They're going to be worried about Chandler Jones. And if Nichols gets a lot of one-on-ones, he has shown over the past 2 seasons with 8 total sacks that he can get after the quarterback. So Nichols, I need you to be great, my dude. Let's go to the last thing here. I believe that the Raiders need to add a free agent. And yes, you want to be able to sit up here and say, I have 100% confidence in the Raiders defensive tackle room. Unfortunately, my job is to be 100% honest with the nation, and I'm being honest with the nation. If you want to take that next step, and if you want to hoist a Lombardi, you can't look at the Raiders defense right now and say, this is good enough unit. You have to improve. So in terms of who are some of the top free agent defensive tackles out there, Ndamukong Suh, Sheldon Richardson, Larry O, Linval Joseph, Star Lotulelei, Eddie Goldman, Steve McLendon, Brandon Williams, Danny Shelton, Shamar Stephen. I mean, these are just a handful of names. The people who I have been told the Raiders have been linked to, and Ndamukong Suh is the top name everyone is always keeping tabs on. Also, do not sleep on Eddie Goldman, and then another sleeper to keep in mind is Danny Shelton. So here's your opportunity. Be the boss. You're Dave Ziegler. You're Josh McDaniels. I want you to name a defensive tackle that you believe the Raiders should sign this season.